The Wilds Files is an immigration law podcast. The content shared on this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any organization or law firm. Listeners should seek the counsel of a qualified attorney to address specific legal concerns. By listening, you acknowledge that the host and guests are not providing professional or personalized legal advice. Welcome to the Wilds Files. The files are open.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Wilds Files. Today, we're opening up a very new, exciting file for you with one of our celebrity clients. And yes, Dina, you are a major celebrity, despite your modesty and humbleness. Dina Belenkaya. Dina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Josh, for the invite. I am honored to be here.
Of course, it's our pleasure, and we've spoken on the phone and on Zoom so many times. So I'm just so happy to see you in person. Dina is a extraordinary person. Just to give you guys a very quick overview of who she is, and then I'll let her explain herself as well. Dina is a Russian-Israeli chess player, commentator, Twitch streamer, YouTuber, and she holds the title of Women Grandmaster. She's a four-time St. Petersburg women's champion and has represented St. Petersburg at the Russian Women's Team Championship and the European Chess Club Cup for women. She has a peak FIDE rating, did I get that one right? FIDE, not FIDE, of 2364. Absolutely amazing. So chess athlete, commentator, YouTuber, influencer, is there anything you don't do?
Nothing that can come to my mind. No, I think
yeah, well, that's amazing.
But maybe the law and stuff. That's where I call you.
Yeah, but you've become somewhat of an expert, I would say, at least on O-1 visas, which we'll touch upon in a little bit. Going through the rink or going through the board and coming up with a strategy. It's the same thing in immigration or the chess world. It's all about what's the next move, what's the best way to get to the end. But just pulling the lens back a little bit, why don't you tell our viewers? I know I gave a little brief intro, but why don't you just tell them who you are, what you like to do, a little bit about yourself in your own words.
So, I am a professional chess player. I do have a title, as Josh said, Women's Grandmaster. I also am a YouTuber, a live streamer, an influencer, chess content creator. I do pretty much everything in chess. I also commentate. I also take interviews. And just, spreading my passion for chess to the world.
Amazing. So, how did you get from being a chess player to being a content creator? How do those two worlds overlap? I know this is your career and your life, and I know all about it, but imagine you know nothing about chess and you're on Instagram. What is a chess influencer? What does that even mean?
So essentially, most of my content is where I either go on the streets and interact with people, meet new people, and challenge them, hustle them for a game, and that's where I bring their personalities and we talk and trash talk and stuff like that. This is what I love doing here in New York, especially the best place to do this type of content. Or on the other side, as a professional chess player, sometimes or pretty much oftentimes I compete in the competitions, in official tournaments, and that is where I live stream my games, my competitions, and then I make videos like recaps of my games, like some strategies breaking down, or just showing the games in a short form, which is pretty popular nowadays. And also every now and then I do some kind of more Instagrammable type of content, which is some trends, recording some silly dances, but obviously it's always gonna have a chessboard in it, because that's I'm even wearing black and white, so it's my part of my identity. On top of that, I also have my online chess school, which is called Russian Chess School, and no, it is not in Russian, it is in English, but I'm bringing the method that I was taught by the so-called kind of the most a little bit conservative, but also one of the best practices that existed in kind of chess schools, which was obviously I say now Russian, but it's also a former Soviet method. It is not a secret that Soviet Union has produced so many world champions and grandmasters. Of course, nowadays Indians are kind of catching up, and they're a very strong competition for us. But yeah, this is what I teach, and I just spreading my knowledge and my religion for chess,
right,
to fellow Americans and Europeans and pretty much everybody in the world as long as they speak English.
Yeah, and I think it's great the way you're doing it because you're connecting, chess, which is a generational game going back forever, to a new audience through Instagram and social media and some of the stuff that you mentioned. But you mentioned something about your score being 2364. What does that mean? And do you have any goals? Like, what are you trying to achieve? Maybe you could just explain a little bit about that ranking.
So, in order to get the title that I have right now, which is Women's Grandmaster, I need to get to the rating of 2300. And there are different titles in chess. There are women's titles, there are titles for all, and I think we're not gonna get into that, like why chess has women's titles.
Yeah.
Not at the moment, just like why there are more lawyers, males than females, I bet.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, essentially, I'm Women's Grandmaster, and I do work on a goal. I have a goal which is gonna be International Master. It's the next step, and it's a title for all open. It's a 2400 rating level. And then if you go and shoot for the biggest title that exists in chess, which is Grandmaster without a W in front of it, so mine is better, of course, because it's 2 letters, but so that's Grandmaster. That would be a 2500. And if you think about a world champion, let's say Magnus Carlsen, now Gukesh, the Indian prodigy, is a world champion because Magnus stepped down. Those guys, they have a rating of 2800.
Wow.
So just becoming Grandmaster doesn't mean anything in chess, because in a professional career you really need to win those grand slams.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of climb up. And if you don't know anything about chess and you're trying to understand what are these numbers, it's kind of like a ping pong, we have this kind of it depends. You have a rating and I have a rating, and we play a game together, and if you win, then you get some of my points, and if I win, then I get some of yours.
You take some of the points off their rating essentially, and then it gets added to. Oh, it's really interesting.
Let's say we have a similar rating, so I'm gonna gain 10 points and you're gonna lose 10 points.
Okay. And by the way, we do have a very similar rating. I play on chess.com. I do a lot of the puzzles, and I'm on chess.com different than FIDE, but I'm about a 572, which is 571 better than 1. So it's I'm pretty proud of that rating. But thank you for sharing all of that. And it's really interesting to hear about all the different things that you're doing. So chess, by the way, when you're at these tournaments and you're streaming them, you mentioned you like to trash talk, especially while you're here in New York. Are you allowed to trash talk at these events, or do they still keep things relatively calm, when you're competing?
So, unfortunately, whenever I do official tournaments, I'm not allowed to talk. So, indeed, that doesn't play into, my strengths. But it's also cool because you get to be really focused and locked in. And, one of the things that I really, loved about competing in chess is that this is where you're at your best performance, meaning you're, truly, truly focused, not distracted, nothing else matters or exists when you're there. And one competitive game of chess can last up to 8 hours easily.
Wow.
Usually it's 4 or 5, but yeah, my personal record was 7 hours 55 minutes.
Do you get breaks during that?
Yeah, we have a clock, so whenever you made a move, you press the clock and it's your opponent's time ticking, but not yours. So in those moments you can stand up, go get some a coffee, or
right.
use the bathroom or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So you're not just sitting there for almost 8 hours, because that's hard to keep your mental focus. But I guess you're very good at keeping your mental focus. One thing I found really unique about you and your career is that you were also a chess boxer, and the fact that you're able to keep your focus in the ring. You know what? Before we even get to that, what the hell is chess boxing? Why don't you tell us?
So chess boxing is a new type, kind of a new sport, new type of a variant of chess, or a variant of boxing, depending how you look at it. You can ask Mike Tyson, who's just there, what he thinks about chess boxing. But for me, it's a cool experience where you get to show your chess skills, but also your physical kind of stamina, and
tomato, same thing. Yeah.
Being able to move around, and do stuff. So for me, when I got the invitation to participate in the chess boxing fight, it was a big kind of challenge that I personally wanted to overcome, and I do not regret it. But would I ever repeat it anytime soon? I think only if the stakes were real high.
Yeah.
But that being said, the experience I had was in a stadium in LA in front of 10,000 people. There were 300,000 people who were watching live. It was the biggest watched chess game ever, although it was not just a chess game. But yeah, when it comes to the format of chess boxing, it is the mix of chess and boxing. Therefore, you get rounds. Let's say 3 minutes each round. So we start a chess game, and after 3 minutes, the clock is paused. The table is being removed, like lift up, and then like we're in the ring, and then we fight for another 3 minutes.
So it's a round of chess and then a round of boxing and then a round of chess and a round of boxing until someone wins. How do you win?
So either you checkmate on the board, which happened in my case, or you get like knocked out in the ring, which
That's crazy.
I was trying to avoid.
Yeah, what a unique sport. And I remember when I had to do our research into you and the case and follow your O-1, watching the videos and telling all the lawyers in our practice about chess boxing, we were all just dumbfounded that it even exists. But it was amazing, and the amount of viewers that it had and the sponsors that were involved. And I'm surprised it's not even, I'm sure it's growing tremendously, but I'm surprised that it's not more widely known, although I'm sure it will be at some point. But wow, what an incredible sport.
I think one of the interesting, and you don't have to include it into the podcast, but one of the facts why they actually had an issue of redoing that last year, I believe.
Yeah.
It was that they couldn't get the approval of the United States boxing federation.
Okay,
and
interesting.
That was an issue because when it comes to traumas and stuff like that, it's they kind of had this. They wanted to have this safety.
Right.
And for instance, the biggest chess boxing federation is actually in France and in UK, and this is where they often do kind of also Eastern Europe, Russia, Turkey are good at that. Obviously those countries that kind of do a lot of sport events and fighting and
different rules and regulations.
Yes, and that's where they actually do a lot of this chess boxing world championships. But
there's a world championship for chess boxing?
Yes.
Wow, incredible. That is absolutely, I don't even know how to react to that. That's amazing. So chess boxing, content creation, let's talk a little bit about that for a moment. When we first filed your O visa in 2023, I believe you had about a little bit over 100,000 YouTube followers. And maybe you could just tell us where you're at now, but even before you get there, how you kind of started. I know you started a little bit after the pandemic when things were changing in the world a little bit. Why did you get into content creation, and how have you blown up since then?
So being on camera has always been my passion. And I've started hearing every now and then about live streaming chess or doing some videos, maybe just before the pandemic, but I was never first of all, I was very focused on my chess career and getting to my next goal, and secondly, I was also kind of maybe undecisive a little bit, so I kind of needed that that push, that kind of a sign from whatever is up there.
Yeah.
And the sign happened with the pandemic because all the tournaments got canceled, and we were all kind of just all a sportsman. I don't know if I can call myself an athlete, but
no,
I love seeing that.
You're definitely, I think chess players are considered athletes for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Maybe not a traditional athlete, but an athlete. Absolutely.
We have our own Olympiad. So a long story short, all the tournaments got canceled, and I was okay, I guess I have some time. So how about maybe, I did this thing that I always kind of was so curious about, and then the moment I started, I've been just grinding every single day, especially during the pandemic. For 3 months, I've been streaming every single day, preparing all those stuff. And I didn't start YouTube right away because, live streaming is easier to kick off, and that was the boom for chess, the summer 2020, because chess.com organized this tournament called PogChamps, where all the famous kind of online creators were participating, playing chess, and also Queen's Gambit happens.
Right.
So that was another internal boost. And so that was a great moment. And then later on, I kind of realized that just streaming on Twitch is not enough because it's only one platform. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And now, Twitch with Amazon and stuff, I think they're kind of, the stocks are going down, but it's still around there. But anyway, I was okay, I need to do something on YouTube. And so I started YouTube, and then slowly, a little bit later, I kind of started also doing more focused Instagram stuff. And I think January 2023 is when short content appeared, and that was also another boom. And now, ever since let's say February 2023, it's been more than 2 years, 2.5 years. I've been posting every single day.
Wow. And the growth, I mean, it's worth it. The grind is not easy, but I was looking before, when we filed the case, when we first met you, about 100,000, which is, an accomplishment, absolutely. But now you're at over 650 or almost 750,000, if I remember correctly. So, it's worth it. And I just want to say that I'm proud of you because I always loved working on your case because it was such a new industry and a new concept for me. And that was at the same time where we started filing a lot of influencer cases because the influencer industry as a whole has also grown tremendously. So to see the growth that you had is amazing. So, now we've spoken a little bit about the chess, a little bit about the chess box, and a little about your content. An O-1 visa, that's what you're here for. An O-1 visa is for people who have extraordinary abilities in what they do. You're here, you're authorized to work, you have the right authorization to do it. Why don't you tell us, if you don't mind sharing, and you can keep it very general for confidentiality, a little bit about what the process was like for you in terms of getting an O-1, and maybe what type of advice you have for people who are just starting out.
So I was actually pretty surprised, and first of all, I was very blessed to have you guys help me on my case, because literally, you would always answer all my questions, and obviously it did go well, right? I got my visa, so nothing I could complain of. But one thing that was really particularly shocking to me in a good way is that I actually, from the day that we filed my case, it only took literally 3 days to get the confirmation, that approval notice. And I was that was I could never expect it. I don't remember what kind of the frameworks you were giving me, but that was something that I was particularly shocked. I think it was your father who actually emailed me with
the approval
with a congratulations. And it while it took only 3 days to get approved, it did take me way more time to actually prepare the case. And for everyone watching there, if you were thinking about filing, either one works. For a similar visa, I would say start collecting your documents now already. It's building your resume for work, your CV. Because for me, I think it took me 3 months to actually collect all the papers, translate them from all different languages, especially all the newspapers and stuff like that. And even later down the road, whenever I was already in touch with you after I got approved, and I had a call with your team, in order to, let's say if I were to continue the same path, again, I would always have to have those kind of news articles or kind of notes here and there with my name on it, and already thinking about my future, my documents now. The reason for that is that you have to show that you have sustained a claim, so that you're continuing or that you're growing in your career. I don't doubt that it's not going to be difficult for you given the numbers we just spoke about and the amount of growth that you had, but that is very good advice. People should start as early as possible because the government doesn't care about what people say. Hey, I'm famous, give me a visa. You can't be famous in your own mind. You can't be a legend in your own mind. You have to have actual third-party evidentiary proof. And I remember some of the newspaper clips, actually, now that I think about it, these old school newspaper clips, and you had to get them translated. I remember that took some time, but it all worked out in the end, obviously. So that is good advice. The earlier you can start, the better. With that said, where are you headed to now? I know that you have one more day in New York, so what's going on the rest of the day? Yeah, so actually I'm here as a part of my content trip as well. I cannot just be in New York and not film anything, and New York is the best place to film because it has so many street hustlers. So I'm on a mission to hustle the hustlers. I have my hat, I have my sunglasses, so I'm gonna go undercover and pretend that I'm a beginner and I don't know how to play, and I already know some of those guys, they're dying there to give me a chess lesson. So I'm excited.
Well, we wish you luck. Hopefully they won't recognize you and you'll serve them right. Thank you so much for coming, Dina. This file is officially closed, everybody. Checkmate, and we'll see you next time.